All right. What's up, everybody? So, damn, man, what a fucking weekend of boxing, bro. Of course, it was, Cinco de Mayo. Canelo fought, bro. Hell of a weekend. That shit was explosive. Stacked cards everywhere. It was one of the best weekends of boxing ever. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it was a Canelo weekend of boxing, so it had to be good, right? Um, Man, let's cut the bullshit and let's get into this shit, bro. This is how people used to talk back in the day, or this is really what people are supposed to be talking about right now, right? Of course, like I said, bro, we had some crazy good fights that were supposed to be good, right? And then it was just a fucking letdown all across the board. Starting from Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero. Of course, Ryan Garcia came out here and fucking lost to Rolly Romero, even got knocked down by Rolly. Then we had Teofimo versus Barboza. Teofimo was the only one that put on a show, He outclassed Barboza, of course. But he's the only one that went out there and really tried to make a show for the fans, bro. I think this is what fucking these boxers forget, that they're supposed to come out here and try to fucking perform, you know what I'm saying? And this is just the bullshit that boxing is turning into. And, don't even get me started on Devin Haney, bro, because this guy, man, Devin Haney's just all class patheticness, man. This guy went in there, stunk up the joint, fucking ran, bro. I think he fucking tied up for the most boring fight with Shakur Stevenson. The numbers were almost the same. This guy was fucking running. Jose Ramirez couldn't turn it up and get to him or nothing like that. And you know what makes this shit even sadder with Devin Haney, bro? What makes it more pathetic is how he went in there, and yes, he got the W, right? Of course, he got the decision win. And then he comes out here and tries to talk shit to Ryan Garcia, acting like if he did something great, like if he beat Ryan Garcia. Rolly Romero beating Ryan Garcia ain't got shit to do with you beating Ryan Garcia. It doesn't prove nothing in your guys' fight. If you really have something to prove against Ryan Garcia, go out there and fight him, and then you can talk that shit. But you can't come out here and talk that shit and act like you put up one hell of a fight yourself. Because see, Devin Haney is probably the only motherfucker that I know that could get a win but tank his fucking career. Because to me, that's what it is, right? Devin Haney's career is fucking over. Who the fuck is gonna want to watch Devin Haney after that fucking performance that he put on, right? So like I said, he got the W, and he's probably the only motherfucker that could do this. He got the W, but he fucking ruined his career with that bullshit ass performance, man. And then, Devin Haney or Bill Haney came out here and said that they put Ramirez in the hospital because, they had a picture of him in the ambulance and shit, which is just next class fucking pathetic, bro. These are lies. That was just protocol at the end of the fight, of course. But for him, Bill Haney, to come out here and try to do that fuck shit, see, this is why the Haneys get booed everywhere that they go, man, for these kind of actions, bro, that they do, man. Like, these guys are just based on lies. This is why, for me, it's so hard to believe the Haneys and anything that they say. Because everything that these guys do is just based on bullshit and based off lies, right? So, yeah, like I said, man, that Friday, it was fucking just disappointing, bro. I was out of town. I was over there hanging out with my family. I didn't even catch the Friday fights, right? We went back and rewatched them. And bro, I'm just glad that I didn't fucking make the effort to really catch those fights like that, because they were some bullshit ass fights, Like I said, Teofimo was the only one that did his thing in those Friday night fights. And then Saturday night, guess what? We had Canelo versus Skull, right? And more disappointment, man. This was just all across the board disappointment. Actually, I was hanging out with my cousin, and we went out to a little sports bar, just to go have some drinks, and then they actually had the fight right there. I really wasn't even looking forward to catching that fight. But they had that bitch on. And let me tell you guys something, man. This is the first time that I have ever been at a bar and a Canelo fight is on, and ain't nobody give a fuck, bro. Nobody was paying attention to the fight. Everybody was out there in their own world. And the few people that were trying to get hype and pay attention to the fight, by the third or fourth round, man, they just were completely tuned out from that shit, bro. That shit was so fucking boring. Of course, Skull went in there, outboxed the shit out of Canelo. To tell you the truth, if that would have been a fair fight, take away Canelo's star power and all that shit, I think Skull probably would have got the win. But You know, of course, you're not going to be able to fight like that. You're not going to be able to, because Skull was running. He wasn't engaging, bro. He was boxing very, very nice. But you're not going to win a fight like that against Canelo, bro. And Skull, somebody should have fucking told Skull that shit. Or Skull should have knew that shit, you know. And Canelo, man, this guy looked fucking bad, bro. Like, this guy couldn't cut off the ring for shit. He was slow on his feet. This was one of the first times that I see Canelo swinging in the air, missing like crazy. He just looked slow as fuck. It was just a bad look for Canelo, man. He didn't have no answers. He was just frustrated like throughout the whole fight. And, you know, when you look at Skull, he looked like he was in his zone. He was in his groove. You know, he was confident. He was outboxing. But you're not going to win like that against Canelo, bro. And that shit was just so fucking obvious, man. You know, in a fair fight, Skull should have realistically took that shit, but not against Canelo, bro. Skull needed a little bit more offense, man. He needed to just do something more. Because he was landing some clean counter shots and all that other shit. But like I said, bro, it wasn't enough to get the win. And I'm not at all going to say that they robbed Skull or whatever, because I don't think that he did enough to you know, to really take that shit from Canelo, right? Or to show us more, or to put on a fucking show. That's what I'm trying to say. To give us some kind of fucking entertainment, you know. It was just bad, you know. And then afterwards, and I knew this shit was going to happen, right? Afterwards, Canelo comes out and says, oh, see, this is why I don't like to fight these kind of fighters, because they just come in here to survive. But motherfucker, bro, you're the one that's picking these fucking fighters. You're the one that's picking these guys that are at the bottom, bro. You're picking like the worst fucking guys to fight, you know, and then you wonder why they're in there to survive against you. What the fuck do you expect, bro? You want to pick these guys that are not on your level, and you just want them to stand in front of you and take your shots and trade off with you, and you get a knockout? Nah, bro, they're going to do whatever that they can to survive, and for them, that's a win against you. You know what I'm saying? So there is no way that you could come out here and say like, oh, it was his fault. He ran the whole night. You know, this is why I don't like to fight these kind of fighters. Because you're the one that's picking these guys, man. You know what I'm saying? If you want a fighter to stand in there and give you a good fight, go fight David Benavidez, bro. Go fight a David Morrell. Go fight the guys that you were supposed to go fight, man. You can't do this shit, bro. You can't pick these fucking guys and then come out here and complain to why you're stinking up the fucking joint when you're fighting those kind of fighters, man. But that's what it was. You know, thank God we had the Inoue fight on Sunday, right? That was a hell of a fight, man. Inoue came in here and saved the day. And that's what's up, right? Because, man, that whole weekend of boxing was just straight trash, bro. It was straight ass. And, you know, we had, of course, Terence Crawford go up there and face off against Canelo. And, you know, man, I don't know, bro. You guys know me, man. I've always gave Canelo his due respects when it comes to him as a fighter. And I've always said that Canelo is going to knock out Terence Crawford. I never really gave Terence Crawford a shot like that. But after what I saw from Canelo on Saturday, bro, I think I got to rethink this whole shit, man. I think Terence Crawford might go in there and now box the shit out of Canelo. Probably land way better shots on Canelo. And he might get a decision win over Canelo, man. Because Terence Crawford is a big enough name to where they won't rob him if he does the same shit that Scott did against Canelo. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that Terence Crawford will have a little bit more effective shots on Canelo, outboxing him like that. And he might just persuade the fucking judges to give him the fight, because Canelo looked slow as fuck on his feet. He looked slow as fuck with his punches, with his punching speed. And I just don't know, bro. I just don't know if that Canelo that I saw is gonna be able to knock out Terence Crawford. Or what I'm trying to say is that now I am giving Terence Crawford a shot to beat that Canelo that I saw on Saturday. I didn't think Canelo was really that bad, bro. I know he's had a lot of help during his career and this and that, but he fucking got exposed in my eyes on Saturday night, you know. And Terence Crawford, when they faced off, you know, he looked like he had some decent size. He's been bulking up. You guys also got to remember, bro, because I know there's going to be a lot of people saying like, no, Terence Crawford looked big. He looked bigger than Canelo and this and that. But try to remember this, bro. You guys saw Terence Crawford at his walking around weight, fully hydrated. And you guys saw Canelo after the fight when he had to cut weight. He had to cut weight for that fight. And then, you know, he was not at his full rehydrated walking around weight. So yes, of course, you know, that's why after the fight when they faced off Terence Crawford and Canelo, they look to be around the same size. But what I'm trying to say is that when Canelo fully rehydrates, he's gonna gain all this extra size and this and that. And Terrence Crawford right now, I don't know what he's walking around at, bro, but for him to make it to 168, he's not gonna have to cut that much weight, if any at all, you know. And just try to keep that shit in mind. But yeah, like I said, it was just a bullshit ass fucking weekend of boxing, man. But it is what it is, bro. Let me know what you guys thought about all this shit, man. Make sure to leave me a comment. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll be on to the next one, man. I'm out.